Man, let me tell you something. I rewatched the trailer because I was just like, I had seen the trailer like a couple weeks ago, maybe a week or two ago. It hasn't been out that long, I think. And then I was like, wow, Nicolas Cage doesn't talk in the whole trailer. He just screams. You don't hear him actually. Other people talk, but Nicolas Cage doesn't speak in the trailer. He just screams.
Yep. It's not just the trailer, my friend. Not to spoil the whole thing for you, but So basically, I was trying to see how many movies I could cram in for this review, and I saw what was new out there, and I was like, oh wow, this Nicolas Cage movie. Like I thought I saw the press release for them talking about this movie for the first time like 2 months ago, so I was amazed that this movie was already available to rent, and so I, like a dumbass, went to Vudu and spent $20 of my own hard-earned money.
Oh my
to
God.
give us this podcast a exclusive, so we could spread the word to not rent this movie because, shocker, it is not worth $20. It is very much not. I would not spend any money on this. I would not.
What about $5?
Nah, I would not waste your time to see it for free. It's probably not the worst Nicolas Cage movie ever made, but this is definitely. I don't even know if this is like a tax shelter, like Left Behind level movie, but it is very clear. This is one of those movies that like Nicolas Cage filmed on a Tuesday between like lunch and Pilates. And, if anything, I found it encouraging because it made me really confident. Like, if you and I started a GoFundMe of just us, like, hey, we want to sit on the couch drinking beer with Nicolas Cage, and we raised like $300,000 to get him in for an afternoon, like, we could do it because it clearly is like some people raised enough money to get Nicolas Cage to shoot with them for 4 days, and then they just constructed this whole plot around it. And yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, the plot's really easy to sum up. Nicolas Cage is a guy that does not speak at all in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's the plot, the movie, like, the thing that sucks about the movie is it's basically, how like Nicolas Cage is cool when he's not trying to lean into the Nicolas Caginess, or like, whenever anything tries to be a meme, it just comes off as incredibly, I don't know, like cloying and patronizing or something. It's just very, very annoying. That's basically this whole movie in a nutshell. It doesn't take itself seriously as a movie at all. It barely holds up. I like barely would call it a film. But basically the plot is Nicolas Cage is this guy who's like, random stranger who's driving a really nice car in the middle of the desert, and he comes across this small town, and his car gets a flat because it runs over one of those like police speed trap things, those tire flattener things or whatever. And it's really weird. He doesn't say anything. It's kind of reminded me of the protagonist of GTA 3, how you're a guy that's kind of mute that just goes from person to person doing jobs.
Is that the one where you're like a Russian dude living in Queens?
No, it's like GTA 3, like the first one that like everyone played. Like how you don't say
like
anything.
Liberty City, New York.
That. But like the whole thing, like before they started getting voice actors, like it's like, oh, here's your assignment. You just like kind of nod, and like that's basically Nicolas Cage in this. He's a cool dude who has his one character trait is he likes to drink this like, I don't know if it's soda or punch or beer or something like that.
It looked like a Monster Energy drink or something from the trailer. He has like a suitcase filled with it.
Yeah, like his trunk is filled with this case of, it's something punch. Like they cut to it a bunch of times over and over again, and it's like basically, yeah. So his car breaks down. The mechanic in the small town is basically like, oh hey, we're gonna have to replace all your tires. Oh, we don't have ATMs around here, and we don't have internet, and you don't have cash. So tell you what, here, I got a job for you. If you clean out this essentially Chuck E. Cheese overnight for us, I'll fix your car up for you for free, and you can leave in the morning or something like that. So the other thing is like, this is very clearly like a riff on like Five Nights at Freddy's, that video game.
I was going to ask, because I know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, But like because I shopped at a Target once and like all the toys are Five Nights, like and like the apps and stuff.
Yeah.
But what is Five Nights at Freddy's? Is it a game?
Yeah, so it's this game. It's this actually like really great game that I think they're doing another adaptation of, like that's actually specifically for that IP, or they might even be doing another one. I thought I read something about like Seth Rogen doing a Chuck E. Cheese version of this. It's all kind of riffs on the same idea. Five Nights at Freddy's is you are get a job as a security guard at something that's like an old Chuck E. Cheese sort of thing, and it's all first person, and the whole gimmick is you're sitting at a control station, and you have security cameras all around the building, and you check different rooms with your security camera. You have like a limited amount of battery, so you can only check in certain rooms for a certain length of time before your battery runs out, so you have to conserve it. But like you basically notice that the robots in certain rooms start moving. So like you'll see a robot, like you check around in different rooms, and then you'll notice that a robot's gone, and you have to find the room that the robot's in and close the doors remotely for it before it gets to you, or you'll have a giant robot monster come and eat you. And it's really cool because it's atmospheric. It really plays into that whole thing of like, these are mechanical monsters with like cute teddy bear, coverings or whatever.
I thought, yeah, because I thought it was like a Puppet Master where like little guys are coming after.
Oh no,
you
no, they're big. They're like human size.
Oh, they're big.
So, it's basically
Okay.
it's Chuck E. Cheese. Like that's the whole gimmick. Is like, what if Chuck E. Cheese monsters came alive and fucking chased you? So and that's really cool. But the thing, that's a really integral part of that is like, they are clearly robots with this thin skin of like, bear costume or whatever. But this movie, this fucking Willy's Wonderland, like clearly the budget for this movie that like wasn't Nicolas Cage was like $5 or whatever. So like the quote unquote Chuck E. Cheese robots are just clearly people in shitty Halloween costumes or whatever. So it's not even like you get there's a monster chasing you. It's like, there's a guy in a shitty bear costume or ostrich costume or something like that, fake fighting Nicolas Cage, and like there isn't even like an attempt to do anything resembling tension or whatever. But yeah, so basically what happens is just I'll lay out the whole thing for you. Like
because I was curious, like who are these kids that are like warning him, like trying to save him?
Yeah, so basically because Nicolas Cage is ostensibly the main character, but he cannot speak, they suddenly throw in all like 7 other kids like that are your typical boilerplate horror movie cast or whatever to basically do all the speaking for Nicolas Cage and kind of explain the plot. But there's a main girl who is obsessed with trying to burn this building down. Like when the movie starts, she's trying to burn the building down, and the mom from Donnie Darko, or the Sparkle Motion lady, she's in this as the town sheriff.
Oh, shit.
And so she's like the adoptive mom of this girl, and she like pulls her away as she's about to torch the place and says like, hey, like stop doing that, that's not good. And basically, so this girl escapes and gathers all of her friends, and they all get together to try to like demolish this place once and for all. And you find out like there's they talk about it briefly, but it's like this place used to be like a serial killer owned this essentially Chuck E. Cheese franchise and would lure kids in back for private birthdays and would slaughter them or something like that. And then when the cops were coming to find them, they did a satanic ritual.
Just throw them in the ball pit.
It was like one of those Chucky plots. Like, they did a satanic ritual, so now their souls are in these evil Chuck E. Cheese monsters, and the town has to keep on finding new people to lure into this Chuck E. Cheese establishment, so to feed the monsters, otherwise the monsters will attack the town people. It's so dumb. But you have a bunch of teens in it that all kind of like get killed off one by one, and then but it's weird because you have these teens which are doing most of the work for the movie, but like you still have Nicolas Cage in the movie, and you need to like work him in somehow. So you don't really understand why, but Nicolas Cage is like a very dedicated worker. Like, they basically give him this assignment. He does not question anything. They basically are like, clean up everything, make sure to take lots of breaks, and we'll be there in the morning. So he's like, most of the movie is just these montages of him like wiping down cabinets and stuff like that. And then then he takes breaks every once in a while where his watch goes off and he's got to chug this drink or whatever, and then he plays pinball, and then he maybe fights a stuffed animal monster, and then he goes back to the same old thing. And it's
So he fights an animal. He fights a robot monster and then continues to clean.
He's like totally unfazed.
He doesn't like. Oh wow.
And it's weird to the point it hits a point where it's such a gag where it's even like Nicolas Cage is getting ready to fight a monster. Like he eventually links up with the teenagers and he's helping them kind of. But, there's a scene where him and one of the girls is about to get attacked by a monster, and he's getting ready to help her, but then his watch goes off, and he realizes it's time for, drinking soda and pinball again, so he just runs off and leaves the girl to fend for herself or whatever. And it's very clear, like, I guess they did this so... hey, we can shoot Nicolas Cage playing pinball for a little bit and drinking soda, and we can just keep on reusing that footage over and over. And they do this thing like 4 or 5 times throughout the whole movie, and it's really weird because they keep on seeming to set up like the place where my brain was going to was like, oh, is Nicolas Cage like a robot? Like, is this soda he's drinking like fucking oil or something like that? Like, it would make as much sense as just about anything else in this movie, but they never go into that. He's just some dude. He's just a badass, Nicolas Cage. And yeah, it doesn't really have any cool conclusion or whatever. It's basically like all the teens except for the main one gets killed. Donnie Darko mom gets killed. And they kill off all of the evil monsters and then like ride off into the sunset or whatever. But it's just such a nothing burger of a movie, But yeah, like I would be excited. I really actually do hope they are doing a proper Five Nights at Freddy's kind of movie, because I still think that sort of film like has a lot to mine for just like in terms of good ideas, and this movie doesn't even register. Like, I've already started forgetting about it, so hopefully something will come and just eradicate this idea from the map.
That's too bad. I mean, honestly, I saw it didn't get great reviews. People were saying it's a waste of Nicolas Cage, which doesn't sound like you would disagree.
Not at all. I definitely think it's I know Nicolas Cage is kind of like revving up for his like Cage-assance. Like, I know he's like picking better and better roles lately, but this is definitely one of those ones in between.
He's got to pay the Amex bill.
Yeah, those dinosaur heads aren't going to pay for themselves, man.